least 20 typhoons visit the country every year, with at least 3 of those being super typhoons. Meanwhile, 300 volcanoes call the Philippines home, 22 of which are active. 90 destructive quakes and 40 tsunamis have touched our shores in the past 400 years, which ranks us as the second most disaster-prone country in the world, next to Vanuatu. Shouldn't we be foremost in disaster preparedness then?
Sigurado ko mga gusto ninyo ang inyong mga tingog na tunggan kaloocan. We'll take a very short break and when we return, we'll continue on these other things do you have in mind that you believe could endure a myth and that which first world class care kaya natin ibigay ng mga tao dito sa mundo. It is a very sentimental answer to mga machines and whatever the problems Welcome to Dynamic Living, the Total You, dear viewers and listeners over the radio. Today, we are very much honored to have with us the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, their president. It is actually an organization of private companies that does a very good job in helping our industries and our nation prepare for disasters. I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Butch Miley. He's the president of PDRF. Magandang araw po sa inyo, sir.
Magandang araw, Dr. Jean. I'm really happy to be here on Dynamic Living.
Opo, kasi alam po natin kung gaano kahalaga ang inyong role, no? The role that you play, your people, the way you have actually come up with a team wherein you can help us out during disaster. So, what comprises the PDRF, sir?
Well, yung PDRF, Dr. Jean, is one of the most unique organizations sa buong mundo. Actually, we're very proud na nauna yung Pilipinas dito in this area sa mga disaster resilience tsaka disaster preparation. PDRF is composed of about 82 companies all around the country.
82 companies all over.
Yes, napakarami ho. It includes mga larger companies in the country and includes the smaller ones. It was set up after yung Ondoy floods dito sa Manila. Naalala ba ninyo, noong 2009?
Yes,
talagang,
yung impact noon.
Oh, grabe. At that time, walang Doppler radars yung Philippines. So, we could not tell na yung intensity of the rain. So, akala ng mga tao, that Saturday morning in November ata yun, it was just a regular storm. Di nila alam, by the end of that Saturday, yung mga kali natin naging mga parang mga dagat yan and maraming namatay. So from that, the president at the time, President Macapagal Arroyo, set up a public-private sector partnership and doon nag-umpisa yung PDRF. And from that, we started first on yung mga trying to help during the Ondoy effects, yung mga people who were displaced. We rebuilt schools. And from that beginning, we also set up a fiber optic cable. Nalaman kasi ho namin na walang connection yung Pag-asa Weather Bureau tsaka yung Office of Civil Defense.
So kayo po ang nag-initiate noon?
Yes, because we thought it was important na makakommunicate yung dalawang critical agencies na yun. So one of our companies, kasi what we do is we don't give money per se, but we use yung core expertise ng mga companies namin. Like yung PLDT, tumulong sila, naglagay sila ng fiber optic cable from yung Pag-asa tsaka yung OCD. So ngayon, nakaka-communicate sila with the internet and all that, and that was very important. And we also started yung Marikina Watershed Program kasi alam namin na yung waters of Ondoy, marami nang galing sa mga mountains surrounding Manila. Kaya na-flood ang Pasig, na-flood din ang Laguna Lake. So we're reforesting yung Marikina Watershed and we're trying to get the people there to stop chopping down the trees kasi Marami doon chopping trees for charcoal.
At mapapansin po natin, sir, na you are now at the forefront, ang PDRF, for there is a disaster, whether it be in Metro Manila or in the peripheries. And we will be discussing the Marawi crisis in a while, kung ano din ang mga naitulong ninyo doon. So how do you ensure coordination po and collaboration? Kasi kayo private sector po kayo, di po ba? With the government. Remember that the government has its own, yung tawag nating mga national disaster risk command center nila, meron din naman tayong mga provincial. So how does PDRF come into play with the government?
Well, Dr. Chin, we work closely with the government. Yun ang usapan We have a representative, always NDRMC, yung National Disaster Recovery Council, and we work closely with them and with the UN cluster system. May cluster system ang PDRF. Tinatawag namin mga lifeline clusters. Water, power, telecoms, roads, search and rescue, logistics. Lahat yan, all of our 82 companies are divided into these 8 clusters. And yung mga clusters na yan, nakapantay, nakaparallel against mga government clusters on one side and yung UN clusters on the other side. So nag-interact kami together. So we do not issue, for example, mga warnings or mga ganun without the government. Nauna parati yung government and we work closely. Kung anong nangangailangan nila, doon kami pumapasok. Like during Super Typhoon Yolanda, Department of Education asked us for to help yung emergency feeding program para sa mga bata. Kasi sabi nila, if they do it, it will take them months kasi may bidding process na yan. So, tin-earn over nila sa private sector and we were able to do it quickly. Another example is during Yolanda din, yung Department of Trade and Industry. Their idea was to revive yung mga small businesses sa Yolanda affected areas. And these are talagang mga simple lang mga businesses like dressmaking, mga karinderya. But they said kung silang gagawa,
matagal.
Babalik pa sila sa Kongreso. It will take them a year. So they turned to PDRF and kami nang gumawa.
Pero sir, kasama dun sa clusters ninyo na hindi nyo nabanggit, na mahalaga din, is actually health, di ba? Kasama din sa inyo yun, di po ba? I mean, that's also included sanitation, health, education. Heto po ba kasama din sa inyo nasasakupan?
Yes, right after yung Super Typhoon, Yolanda, we started 5 initial clusters. Yun ang umpisa ng PDRF, yung 5 clusters. It was health and sanitation, it was education, livelihood, shelter, tsaka environment. And yun ang unang division ng companies into those 5 clusters. Kasi we saw that yun ang pinaka-urgent na needs na kailangan nun. And so we were able to build schools with the help of many Filipinos overseas and even ordinary people from abroad who gave donations. And then we were able to build health clinics. We were able to rebuild some and build new ones. We were able to build ang tinatawag nilang evacuation centers. Kasi nalaman namin na yung soil sa Leyte, napaka-soft ho yan. And yung ilalim ng soil sa mga Leyte is too big. So we had to dig very deeply, nag-soil study kami, and make it very solid. So ngayon we have about 4 typhoon-resistant evacuation shelters throughout Leyte that we've constructed.
Ko po with what you're telling us, and I think our viewers are very excited listening to you. Parang nakikita natin na, of course, the government is doing something, but here you are, a private group of companies that you banded together to be able to help the Filipino nation. Mapapansin natin, very fast-moving yung action.
Yes.
Kasi alam naman natin, pag sa government, tama nga yun, babalik pa sa Kongreso, marami pang dadaanan, the red tape and the bureaucracies is such, unlike a private sector na, okay, pag meet natin, action agad.
Yes, that's true. And actually, yung nangyari during Yolanda, nakita ng United Nations and the rest of the world, they're using it as an example of how yung private sector can become an actor in sa humanitarian scene. Dati hindi sila sigurado how to handle it, but when they saw the way PDRF was interacting and moving quickly, they began to adopt this model so that now there are 13 countries around the world.
That's copying this?
Yes, as part of PDRF. In fact, para kaming Peace Corps, nagpadala kami ng representatives sa Myanmar, Sri Lanka, tsaka Fiji in order to teach them how to use their private sector organizations to become actors in humanitarian response tsaka preparedness.
In other words, sir, it's so amazing to know na tayong mga Pinoy can be a leader somewhere along the line with,
Yes.
with this kind of work. Pero what are the other activities na you closely coordinate with the government?
Well, for example, Dr. Jean, we have something called we have the first of its kind Emergency Operations Center. First of its kind in the world that's run by the private sector. It's initially dito sa Makati, sa Shell, hosted for free, but we're building another setup sa Clark para medyo malayo in case may earthquake. But we use that EOC na tinatawag namin to coordinate with the government. And as part of that, we have yung tinatawag namin business continuity programs. Ito yung for mga small and medium-sized enterprises. Kasi alam namin yung mga big companies medyo handa, but yung mga vendors and suppliers and clients nila, mga small companies.
Which comprises quite a huge number in the Philippine economy, di
Oh
ba?
my
Itong mga
gosh.
SMEs, 80% yata sila.
Mga ganun. Mga ganun. And yung statistics have told us all around the world na pag tinamaan sila ng devastation, they're the least likely na makakabalik. So we're focusing yung business continuity efforts together with the government on yung talagang making sure na mas resilient itong mga small businesses. In addition, we've developed a program for continuity for government agencies mismo so that they will be prepared and that they can recover quickly once tragedy strikes.
Kasi if you notice, yung pangalan niyo po, Philippine Disaster Resilience. Resilience is something that should be inherently present among each one of us. And it's the one that will really make us makabangon tayong muli.
That's right. We changed our name actually. After Ondoy, it was called Philippine Disaster Recovery Foundation. Tapos ginawa naming Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation. Kasi we wanted to cover nga exactly what you said. Hindi lang yung relief, recovery, rehabilitation, but yung preparedness tsaka mitigation. Because the money you spent being prepared is worth 7 times what you spend pag may nangyari na yung
Parang sa sakit lang yan, Sir Butch. Prevention will always be better than cure.
That's right.
And
That's
anything
right.
that we can prevent, anything that we're prepared for, we will be, lucky and we would be able to rise again. Pero Sir,
That's right,
what preparations are really needed for us to become resilient when disasters do arise?
Well, depende, Dr. Gino. If you're talking about individuals and families, for example, kasi maraming kababayan, mga relatives of people around the world here in the Philippines, they want them to be safe. And each family really has to have a plan. Kasi hindi natin malalaman, the Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. That's a fact. May volcanic eruptions, may earthquakes, may super typhoons,
yes.
and may because of the maraming traveling, may mga possibility of pandemics. So each family.
Nadagdag natin ngayon, Sir Butch, yung ating mga yung inner wars natin ngayon, which we will be discussing mamaya. No? Parang nadagdag siya ngayon sa list ng ating mga dapat paghandaan.
Civil conflict. Plus, we don't want to talk about it, though we have discussed this with the government, but just in case this nuclear explosion, for example, sa Pacific, we have statistics showing there'll be 2.5 million more cancer deaths in the Pacific area kung may nag-explode ng atomic bomb.
Malapit lang tayo
Yeah,
contiguity.
depende kung saan mangyayari, no, tsaka where the winds are. So we've talked about all these things, but each family nga should have a plan. Kasi if there's a crisis, we can assume na baba yung walang internet, walang cellphone service. So they should talk among themselves, saan ba tayo makikita? So dapat may meeting point ng each family. And we're also encouraging each family to have yung mga to-go bags. We got this from the Japanese. Lahat ng mga importanteng dokumento ninyo, nandun lahat, mga passports, mga deeds, and yung mga tubig, mga flashlights, mga whistles in case may rubble na nangyari and nasa ilalim ka, to let people know that you're alive. All these things should be in your to-go bag, and every family should have it so that you can survive. And para kung may sudden catastrophe like an earthquake, kunin mo lang yung to-go bag, takbo ka na. and at least you can survive for a few days.
Ang kinaganda po nito, yung binanggit ninyo na families, kasi basic structure
Yes,
yan eh.
yes.
So pag natamaan kasi, hindi naman yung buong lugar na siya yung tatamaan, kundi it starts with the families eh. So kung lahat ng pamilya natin, educated sila, and they know what they're gonna do in cases of, events like this happen, malaking bagay po yun.
Yes, because for us Filipinos, and for everybody around the world, the family is the most important. Meron kami Dr. Jean tinatawag na Family Preparedness Program na napaka-popular because we realize naman, even those who are working during a crisis, the first thing they're going to do is to take care of their families. So many companies have started adopting itong Family Preparedness Program so that alam nila, their families will be prepared, then the employees can focus on working. And we also have ang tinatawag namin na WARE program na we can geotag each employee. Bibigyan namin ng report card. Just tell us where you live, and then we can analyze yung mga hazards sa area mo, and then you'll get a report card at the end of the day saying, ito, malapit ka sa Marikina Fault. Ito, yung creek na yan, delikado yan during flooding. And that's very helpful for mga employees. So both programs have become very popular.
Pero this should be adopted on a larger scale, sir. Kasi what you're doing now, it's really a very good program, pero it's limited so far. Pero if it becomes adopted by the government so that everybody working, like for example, in this particular area, whether it's government or private institution, if they are geotagged, yun nga sinasabi ninyo, mas madali yung paghahanap natin.
Yes, that's true. Meron nga kaming mapa of the entire, not just the Philippines, but the world. So itong Emergency Operations Center, we can track yung mga storms kung saan pumupunta. And we can try to send warnings. But we let the government take the lead. Yung usapan namin. Sila lang magbibigay ng mga warnings, and then we give mga advisories sa mga member companies. But it is important to spread the word around and to make people more aware. Ang masasabi ko lang ngayon, I think the Filipinos are much more aware of what the dangers are than they were before yung
10,
Yolanda.
20 years ago, di ba?
Yeah.
Parang ang layo ng narating natin, no? Kumbaga,
yeah.
after all of those disasters, parang na-educated naman tayo at we learned from our past mistakes.
We're much better, and now we've become a role model for the rest of the world. Yung Yolanda, yung namatay is mga 6,000 to 10,000.
6,000 more.
Yeah, depending on who you ask. Pero the latest casualties, because the government has adopted yung pre-evacuation, it's down to mga 50 to 100. Still too many, but much less than it used to be. So talagang pinag-aaralan tayo ng mga tao from all over.
How does one company, kasi a private group of companies kayo so it's not an individual thing that would want to join PDRF. So it's a company. So how do these companies come to you and tell you na, okay, Sir Butch, we'd like to be part of what you're doing because we believe in it?
Well, marami kaming mga ang tinatawag na pre-agreements, Dr. Jean, in which we work with the Hotel Association of the Philippines, for example, na kung may mangyayari na tragedy, we'll work together to prepare you, and we'll work together during crisis. So you can become a member either individually as a company or through mga associations that we have, like mga construction or mga engineers. So maraming ways that they can become members. We try to have individual, ang tinatawag, memorandum of agreements with each company. For example, UPS, they will give a contribution, but part of that is marami silang mga aeroplano So during a crisis, ang
This can
usapan
be deployed
namin,
to bring in relief aids.
Yes, and mga doctors or nurses. Kasi napaka-importante dyan during a crisis yung logistics. How do we get the help from one place to another? Nakikita mo ngayon sa Puerto Rico. Kita mo, we even
Hirap
got...
dalhin, di ba? Yun yung
Yes.
kailangan talaga na, kasi parang ang mapapansin natin, Sir Butch, for our viewers, no, na sake na preparedness is here.
Yes.
But then when it happens, what are we going to do also? And then after it happens, di po ba? And then
Yes.
after it happens again, what? Parang, kasi magkakarugtong po yan You cannot just be prepared, not doing also something post-calamity.
That's true. In fact, that's one of our emphasis. Kasi after a while, nawawala na yung media. And we realize it takes years to recover from a super typhoon, for example, they're still rebuilding in Leyte. There are many communities that have been left out. And I mentioned yung Puerto Rico. Believe it or not, Puerto Rico has reached out to the PDRF to see if we can help them. They've asked us for an island, to help an island called Vierques Island. Yung hindi lang namin yung alam yung mga logistics. And we're still trying to see if we can put together a medical team, for example, of either mga Filipino-Americans or doctors who can help, or doctors from here sa Makati Med who we can send there. But it's really happening na people around the world are turning also to us to, I mean, humingi na kami ng tulong, pero they're also asking us, tumutulong din kami.
So napakaganda po ng ating ginagawa ngayon kasi it's not just for our nation, pero we're reaching out to our brothers and sisters outside of here. Di po ba? So how do you operate, sir, the PDRF? How does your operation go? Like, is it only through the virtual network, or are there operation centers? So how do we reach out to this whenever there's a calamity?
Well, we have a public website, ang tinatawag na PH72, that people can sign in on. But the main way we operate is through yung mga clusters ho. And these clusters have regular meetings, and they study both preparedness tsaka response. And we hold mga drills quite often. In fact, sumasama kami sa mga Metro Manila Shake Drill, or minsan NDRMC, or yung World Food Program recently had a 7-day doon kami nakatira sa Clark, and talagang simulating yung conditions during an earthquake. Walang communication, konti ng pagkain. They had to live off on their own in the Clark fields there.
Pero sir, parang ano siya if it's here in Metro Manila, there's no doubt about it na napakaganda ng inyong ano dito. Pero what about the peripheries po? Are your clusters as actively involved, and are they as actively, can be easily reached out when it's in the periphery, like in Mindanao, Central or Northern Mindanao or Eastern Mindanao, or in Visayas?
Well, ang ginagawa ho namin, Dr. Jean, is yung many of our companies are nationwide. So marami silang mga facilities. For example, yung Louvillier Group, they have like 2,000 pawn shops around the country. Or yung Coca-Cola, marami lang silang mga outlets tsaka dealers. Or yung Smart and Globe, marami rin yan. But in addition, may mga areas talaga wala kaming partner na company. So we partner either with the local Chamber of Commerce or mga local NGOs on the ground. And doon kami pumapasok. We work with them because we realize we cannot cover 7,000 islands.
That's so huge for you to be able to handle.
Very
Pero
difficult.
at least, yes. So how do we ensure quality implementation of the programs that you have?
Well, we have coordinators, and I think you might meet one of them later on in the program, who handle several clusters, and they handle particular programs, and they're the ones responsible for making sure that these things happen and that everything goes smoothly. For example, I think you'll be able to talk about yung mga Batanes, which was recently hit.
Yung mga malalayo talaga at mahirap pasukin, di ba sila yung pinakamakakawawa, sir?
Well, we were able to get a donation. For example, may mga 10-wheel truck kami, naka-station, in order to bring goods. But in addition, we use yung mga core resources ng each company. For example, if a company has generators, or if a company has trucks, or if a company has fuel, we ask them for that. Tumulong naman kayo ng for example, NLEX. Every time there's a crisis, they provide us with mga trucks to send our either relief goods or mga aid workers to go to mga kailangan. Ang job ng PDRF through our operations center is to coordinate yung mga sinasabi namin, ito may blocked road dyan, hindi kayo pwedeng punta dyan. Pero ito may search and rescue team namin, padadala rin namin yan together with the NDRMC.
Pero mahalaga po yung coordination na yan, Sir Butch.
Yes.
Kasi unless you have a very good coordination, you have good coordinators there in place, mahihirapan din tayo kahit na okay, well, we're really prepared to help you out. Pero walang coordination, baliwala yun, di po ba? So how do we sustain yung inyong sustainability po? Kasi we're talking about, okay, nagsimula kayo ang PDRF after Ondoy, and now you are still very actively involved, at saka kayo ngayon mas malaki na at mas malawak yung inyong coverage ng tulong at marami na kayo nagawa. Pero in terms of sustainability, kasi it requires manpower, it requires resources, it requires dedication and commitment. So how do you sustain that, sir?
Well, there's a couple things, Dr. Jean. During our early years, after Ondoy, tsaka during Yolanda, nag-i-spike ang mga contributions from Filipinos and from, believe it or not, many different faith-based organizations overseas ang tumutulong. And napakalaki ang mga contributions. So we're able to use that for the relief and recovery efforts. But for something like yung Operation Center, which is unique in the world, dun humihingi kami ng mga contributions sa mga member companies. We ask for mga membership fees, and naka-tier yan because ang nagagawa ho namin is that we're able to plot out yung mga hazards, but in addition, we're able to include yung mga facilities sa mga individual companies na password protected yan, so that it's secure. Because one of the unique things about PDRF, even though magkalaban kami sa business, when it comes to mga disasters,
you are one.
Yes,
united kayo.
Nagtutulong-tulong kami.
Has it happened, Sir Butch, na meron kayong members na umalis? Members sila sa inyo, and then bigla silang, okay, ayaw na naming maging member. Is there such a thing as that? Or hindi nangyayari yon?
Hindi naman. Not so far, because it's something that everybody naman wants to help. Disaster really unites Filipinos. There may be other organizations which are doing different things, and but PDRF is really sort of the model for everybody else, not just in the Philippines,
everybody would
but
want
in the
to
world.
join that kasi alam naman nila napaka-noble nung ginagawa, di po ba? And the help that you have is very palpable.
Yes.
And we will be discussing that. You know, we have a model now with what happened to us in Mindanao.
Yes.
We'll take a very short break, and when we return po, we'll continue on with our discussion here. Very interesting for us to learn na hetong mga private companies, sila po ay kabalikat ng ating bayan, ng ating gobyerno upang tulungan tayo. Please stay tuned to Hope Channel.
First and foremost is you have to prepare things when considered as valuable. When dali mo mabuhat. Unlike doon sa may bibigat na things is when sagabal talaga. So you have to prioritize things, especially like for example, lahat makontrata.
Only the thing lang yun is yung prayer. Kung parati tayong magdadasal in times of disaster, there's no impossible with God, diba? Wala talaga imposible sa Kanya.
Sa akin, hindi ko masabi na mayroon na akong or nakapaghanda na ako kasi hindi naman talaga yun ang priority ng isang individual, no? But in case there is a news na magkaroon ng dilubyo or anong disaster like typhoon, siguro maghahanda ako para to survive.
At least 20 typhoons visit the country every year, with at least 3 of those being super typhoons. Meanwhile, 300 volcanoes call the Philippines home, 22 of which are active. 90 destructive quakes and 40 tsunamis have touched our shores in the past 400 years, which ranks us as the second most disaster-prone country in the world, next to Vanuatu. Shouldn't we be foremost in disaster preparedness then?
it too. Dynamic living, making the best of you on fire. Dynamic living, sharing the faith, we're giving the love and bringing the total you.
Of course.
Sometimes. Why not? Yes. My brother.
My mom. And of course, my dad.
The policeman. Boss. My teachers.
My grandpa.
When I'm threatened.
When he stares at me.
When I hear his whistle. When they raise their voice.
When they call me by my full name.
Whenever he calls me like this. Hey, come on, bro. Because they're the love.
He's older than me.
My grade would be at stake.
They're my parents.
Since I'm younger than him, I'll be fired if I don't. You know.
Obedience
It's more than a
state.
of being obedient.
It is our
Willful practice of obedience. Conscious
decision
to obey policemen
To obey
and
our
boss
parents.
teachers. It means submission to the rules
which are meant.
to keep us safe. Likewise,
Obedience.
is a manifestation of love. I respect my
I love
parents.
my mom. I love my
Older
dad.
brother.
Besides,
It says we obey
our grandparents,
our older brother, people of authority, our
our
boss,
parents, in the Lord.
Lord.
For this is
right.
Aduna kabay buot masayran sa kinabuhi? Aduna ba'y kagawasan sa sala o kasakit? May paglaong pa ba ang mga minatay? Unsa ba'y padulngan sa kalibutan? Mga higala, ipangutana kay pastor. Ipadala ang imong mga pangutana ug tubagon ni pastor gamit ang Biblia. Pangutana Pastor, usa ka serbisyong gidalit kaninyo gikan sa Hope Channel.